All right, folks. I am really excited to bring this to you. This is Fred West from the Solar Agents. We are at www.thesolaragents.com. And the treat we have for you today is the programming of the off-grid settings for the Savant integration. Now, there are a lot of different ways you can do the Savant integration with different manufacturers. For this one specifically, we have the Solar-Ark and the HomeGrid integration with it, along with the generator, which we'll expand on another day. But very excited to be able to share this with everybody because this is something that, unfortunately, when it comes to the instructions and different things, and Jeremy has noticed this as well, very limited on this. And so we're doing this share for folks that are part of our family, part of our group, or folks just can't find any other resource to do it. So Jeremy, welcome. Thank you so much, very much for doing this. This is all in preparation for something we're going to do that's really cool over the next 3 days, which is our first official off-grid, totally off-grid. Grid doesn't exist. Let's simulate the whole thing and see what life is like that. And that's an exciting thing to do. It's better to do it when you have the grid available than do it when the grid's not available. So no, thank you so much for being our participant tonight with it, and congratulations on your PTO, which is really what held this back, is doing that permission to operate. So what are your thoughts about that production? Are you able to share that real quick on your screen? Let's get out of this. You can share the Savant app and show. Let's do a Solar-Ark. Let's do the Solar-Ark app real quick.
Okay.
To show that over production over the last couple of days and possibly over the last week.
Let's turn that off and then bring up the Savant. I mean the Solar-Ark app.
Yeah.
Here we go. And then we can bring it up over here and share. Where did the share option go? Share.
So that's what I do. I want to make sure you're comfortable with the other one and then change it up on you real quick. It's a lot more fun. Yeah. All right. So this is our Solar-Ark app. Okay, of course, not too surprised we don't have too much PV. It is at 7 o'clock your time right now, and
it's overcast and raining right now. So it's past sunset anyways. So
exactly. And so how do we do? Today you had rain. So how do we do yesterday? When were you getting your overproduction and such?
Yesterday,
oh, nice.
Really got a lot on the 7th.
Heck yeah. And actually that battery, this is one thing that, we said will probably happen on most days. You were charged, it looks like by like 12:10 or something, your battery's fully charged.
And then by the end of the day, like going to midnight, we were still at 73% charge.
That's excellent. How cold is it right now? I know Texas just got that snowstorm.
It's in the mid 40s. We're not near as bad as the Dallas area, which is good.
Got it. Okay. So no, that's excellent. And then if you don't mind, let me see the beginning of today. I think I got the notice that your battery got down to 20%, like right around 9-10 o'clock or something like that. When was that where I got that notice?
We get to 20% right at about 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So I got that notice, and of course, all 20% means for us is that you're in a backup situation, you're going to have that reserve available to you. But in this situation, we actually start using the utility at that point, or have we set that to 15 at this point?
We have set it to 15. So if you notice that it'll go all the way down to 15, and then that's the minimum threshold that it will not pass.
That's excellent. All right. So she is functioning in a normal status extremely well. No surprises, it looks like here. So let's go ahead and go back to the Power and Light app. So for anybody who wants to do their specific power profiles for Savant, let me go ahead and make a distinction between the two. So you basically have one set that is meant for off-grid, And you have one set that is meant for your kind of your day-to-day operation. We're on grid and we're able to, to live our lives the way that we want to. And Savant, if you're not familiar with it, other than a load management system where we can control, not only the inverter but and the battery and such, but there are other attachments to it like lights and music and different things. And so this app, this Savant product overall, gives a lot of flexibility for what you want to do. However, one thing that's a little different is when it comes to the off-grid settings, you can only use something called a Power and Light app. Power and Light app, right now the icon is green. Are you able to show that, Jeremy? What that Power and Light app icon looks like?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So the Power and Light app is actually green, and this generally, we refer to as an installer tool. Because basically us as installers, this is what we would use to set up the minimums of the system. However, this is also the only way you get access to the off-grid profiles that you want to put together. And so, for Jeremy, because he is a little bit more technically inclined and absolutely loves to have as much control as he possibly can with the things that are powering his home, he has access to this. Your installer will allow access to it, but they'll give you the same warning that I've given Jeremy multiple times, which is please do not touch this until you ask me, because we don't want things to go down, right? So, so when you go in the Power and Light app, this is what you're going to see on your screen, right? Once you log into your specific system. So we'll look at the system configuration. You'll see what that looks like in a second. But the other app, which most people use most of the time, is the Savant Pro app, which is the black icon, which we'll go over in a couple days. That one allows you to build your profiles for your day-to-day living. All right. So the reason we wanted to get together now was at this point, because he did not have permission to operate, didn't have his PTO. It really would not have been suitable to set up all of his off-grid scenarios. So we're putting together those scenarios now in preparation for doing our off-grid test for the next 3 days. So if you're interested to see what off-grid tests look like, we're going to, or looks like, we're going to have, a couple of those over the next couple of days, and you'll be able to go to those as well. But let's go ahead and just jump into your system for right now, Jeremy.
Yep.
All right. And so we're just waiting for it to pop up. Right now, Jeremy has a second Savant, I guess, basis there, the coast, but we're not using that. So he is now in his director. Okay. So let's go ahead and go up to those breaker panels real quick first, just to kind of give an idea of what we put together. So what we have here actually is a fully controlled home. Generally speaking, we don't necessarily control every single circuit inside of a home, but there are a lot of advantages to doing so. All right. So for Jeremy, it made more sense to control the whole home so that he can get some monitoring to see what circuits, which I think you've told me there are some surprises that you've seen as far as circuits of what you're
Seeing
using.
any power vampires that are just plugged in, sitting there, consuming power that you don't expect, that's not doing anything. So finding those have been nice. And then there's been a few times already where the kids have left like the lights on or their Xbox just running after they leave the house, and the Xbox is pretty much like a full-on PC. It'll pull a lot of power, and so
The pool itself. Yep, exactly.
and I was even one time I was even away from the home, and I was like, is the house pulling so much power? And I saw the room, one of the kids' rooms, pulling a lot of power, and I was like, oh, that's probably the Xbox. And I was able to just flip the breaker off while I was, while we were away, so that we aren't consuming that energy for no reason.
Man, so you brought that old dad trope to it, like a different freaking level. You're not looking at the thermostat anymore. You're looking at each individual person's room and seeing what's on now.
Exactly. I mean, if I went through all this work to, be able to get solar and have, the backup battery and everything, I want to know exactly where my power is going and be able to have granular control over it.
Right. No, and that's what Savant brings to the table, right? So so the first one we have here is the house distribution channel or panel, sorry. And all this is just a reference guide for us, right? So this is an individual controlled breakers. This just lets us know the placement of all the breakers that we have. So you can see that they're all labeled. You see, it doesn't tell you if it's on or off because these, again, are not controlled necessarily. These are just for a reference tool, so he knows, what's where. Let's go ahead and go back, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And then another thing that we did for your build, which we'll go over in a couple of days, we added another panel because you're derated inside. And so on the outside panel, we've got, just three things. We got the generator charger for your new generator. We've got the Tygo, which has to do with your optimizers on the roof. And then, of course, we move the pool from the inside panel to the outside panel here. So let's go ahead and go back. And then let's go ahead and look at the good stuff. All right. This is our controlled low Savant panel. Now, you can see right now, Jeremy, and I know you know the difference with this, but I want to point out for everybody else, all of these now are what's called the auto position, right? Which basically means the Savant Director, the tool we're actually inside of right now, program-wise, has control of all of these individual modules, which are basically just switches, right? If for some reason, right, we do not want Savant to control one circuit or another circuit, we have the ability to, on the actual module, switch from auto to on. Now, when you switch it to on, that means it no longer has control through the Savant Director. So we have everything on auto right now. We may, while we're doing the settings, we're going to test it right now, but we may during the settings, just in case during the update we end up losing power, which I don't expect to happen, but there's certain updates you got to be careful. So if that happens, we'll turn the director to the on position just so we don't end up in a bad spot. But everything right now is in that auto position, so we're able to manage it remotely, like you were just talking about a second ago.
Note, I did put the director on a UPS.
Oh, you did. Thank
As
you.
well as my internet, like my modem and router, because whenever I was going through and we had a few of the circuits that weren't mapping correctly. So I was walking around the house, flipping them on and off to do the mapping correctly, and several times I accidentally flipped off like the internet or the
Yep.
director, and I'm like, ah, damn it, now I gotta wait for it to boot back up and then pick back up where I left off. So I hooked up the UPSs so I don't have that issue.
I love it. Okay, so we didn't update. I know we shared. You were asking me, well, how can we make this at the cable box? Because evidently 10 milliseconds was too fast for your cable box. So I'm glad that you were able to get those UPSs working like that. But the fact that you have them on the internet, this is going to go clean, and I love clean. All right. So that being the case, let's go ahead and go backwards again. Yeah. All right. Let's go backwards one more time. All right. So let's go ahead and go to our power sources and let's look at our settings for our inverter. So hit that arrow to the right. You see that? Look, yep, right there.
I'm trying. Oh, I gotta slide it.
Yeah, yep. And then that's our edit button there. So we're going to take a look at our settings real quick. We're not going to change anything. So right now, the reason we want to do a full grid out, which you have the ability because you can cut the grid off, is because of that eco mode reserve. And then there's also a like an off-grid reserve. And what happens is the system itself will not allow your battery to go all the way down where it's supposed to without truly cutting the power off. So, for people who want to be off-grid but know they have to stay on-grid, the off-grid mode, which is something you'll see in the Savant Pro app, is great. But for testing true off-grid, where we do not have power available to the home, the only way you're going to do it is actually cutting off the power in general. But it looks like, we got the whole home back up, the solar inverter, everything's at the thresholds that we want here. The storm mode reserve, which is the setting we're going to use over the next 2 days. Basically, what's going to happen is when the battery does charge, it will discharge once the sun is down 10%, but it will always keep 90% in that reserve for us so that we have it for that situation. And the idea of storm mode is, 2 or 3 days out, there's been all kinds of notifications about this winter storm, for example. 2 or 3 days out, you go ahead and say, all right, I'll go ahead and go in storm mode. What's more important to me is having that battery reserve available rather than try to offset my power bill. But after 72 hours, it will revert back to the eco mode that you're used to, Jeremy.
Yeah, I actually love that ability. Like it allows you to be a little bit more proactive in like planning for a storm. Like, oh, it seems like there's a hurricane coming or something, and it's like, okay, well, let's put it in storm mode so that we have plenty of backup battery, so that we don't get into any issues.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead. All the settings look great here. Let's go ahead and go back again. Exit this screen here. Yep, go ahead and back arrow again. All right, so then we're going to go down, and you see where it says energy management there, right? We got one energy scene. This is where we're going to have our fun tonight. All right. So technically, we are calling this essentials, but notice we have 31 to 31 circuits on. That's technically not your essentials.
Yeah.
So we're going to be changing some names and adding some different profiles here. We will have essentials actually be essentials. So let's go ahead and let's put our first, let's put our first essentials one together, right?
Okay.
So go ahead and go to the plus sign down at the bottom there. Yep. Okay. Now, what basically this setting means is this profile. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and touch off the grid. Go one more. When it talks about off grid, grid down, you see it right there. Basically, that is the trigger. So that's why essentials is so important. So once we go off grid, this is the default profile once you select that grid down icon, right? So then energy scene, okay, you want to go ahead and call this essentials. What do you want to call your initial grid down profile? Well, that you can't get more specific that.
There we go.
So whatever circuits we pick, if the the Savant that's getting fed information from the Solar-Ark says, okay, grid's down, whatever circuits we put in here, that's the profile that's going to be activated. All right. So let's go ahead and go to scene icon. I like icons. I think they're quick reference. I like them. So you pick what you think is going to be best for, all right, initial grid is down. I agree with you there. All right. Save it. All right. Save it again. All right. So all that means, okay, is that the other profile that we have that says essentials is overriding this. So if these are the settings that we want for now, go ahead and go back. Just you can go ahead and copy that. Yeah, go back one more. Let's edit this one. Yep. Perfect. And do the same thing there.
And then that's pretty much it.
That's it. Agreed. All right. So go ahead and go save it. All right. So let's talk about, we have 31 to 31 on. Now, my opinion on this is you do have a pool that is heated that actually takes a little bit of power. And anything that we turn off here, you still can manually turn back on. And so you tell me what you absolutely need when then the initial grid goes down, because if you're not home, you want to make sure that the house has minimal needs. So what are those minimal needs for you?
So I know it's not the pool.
Agreed.
I actually went through all 31 circuits, and I think I ended up with either 15 or 16 groupings based on the circuits. So like whenever we were talking before around making multiple scenes,
Yep.
and I saw that in the whenever you're creating the scene, you can say like whenever battery gets to this percentage,
Correct.
go there. And so that's where each one of those 16 different priority groupings that I created will come into effect.
Okay. So this is the initial. What I'm hearing you say is if your battery is, let's say, at that 90%, because we're going to be in that storm mode, so it's going to be somewhere between 90 and 100. Is the pool the only thing that you were cutting off, or are you cutting off? Okay, so that's the outside, right?
No, these are actually in the utility room. They're extra plugs. Like there might be like a screen printing machine that's plugged in there, but it's completely pointless.
Sounds good. All right, and then we definitely don't want to cut off, even though you have a UPS there. We don't want to cut off the garage because UPS has some limitations as far as this time frame. So So is this the initial profile that you want to have activated, or is there something else?
Yes, I believe that is the initial one that I have.
Okay, I'm gonna just let you look again real quick, and we'll go ahead and save it.
Yeah, let me. I've got Excel open with my groupings. Yep. I had.
It's
Yeah.
like 27 of 31.
Yep. It's those all of those plugs that are the first one. So.
Okay, let's go ahead and save it. All right, so that's 2731. That's great.
Yep.
All right, should be able to save that.
We just need to add a new one now, right?
Yep. All right. So you already mentioned this as something that you discovered on your own. Go ahead and go to the next. Now, instead of our grid down trigger, we're going to do trigger conditions. So when the battery gets down to, what was your first one?
I didn't put percentages, but I'm going to look to see what it is that I have on that. That's like front porch plugs, vent hood disposal, like the back patio plug by the grill, and the dishwasher.
Okay.
Um, so I would say like 75%. That seems like a pretty good.
How many more profiles do you have? You
I
said
have 16 total.
16 total. All right. So, and I'll just ask, but that's a lot of profiles, right? But I know why you have 16. It's because of your profession you do every day. Is there any truncated ones that we could do, knowing that you have the ability to individually cut things off if you wanted to? And if the answer is no, that's an acceptable answer. But I just know switching through 16 of these and having 16 different triggers based off a percentage is going to be an interesting ride.
Uh, I can uh bump through most of them. Like there's a big set. I went more granular because I was like, yeah, these could be grouped together, but it would be kind of nice if they weren't always grouped together. And so that's kind of how I laid it out. So yeah, there's like the game room lights and plugs and the theater room lights. So it's like the game room lights I would put in that bucket. And then the spare bedroom that we have, I would also put in that.
Okay, so
So
what would you want to call this? Yeah, you were already ahead of me. So what would we want to call this? Second stage? Sure. Okay. All right.
uh,
Go back real quick. Let's go ahead and change the icon.
yep. Um, Going down.
I wish there was a game room or something else that would be a better representation.
Maybe this light one.
That's up to you. I mean, it's whatever it's going to tell you.
Yeah, I think that is, hey, I'm gonna do this because that's more of the auxiliary like fun rooms that aren't essentials. So
Okay. There it is. Yep. Now you can go ahead and go. All right. Right now you have 31 on, so you're cutting everything off.
yeah. So I need to go back, and it would be nice if you could build off of
Yeah. Yeah. And they would say technically you can edit the other one, but yeah, you can't duplicate them. So it still technically doesn't do it.
the game room is one that I want. Grill outside plugs. Theater room, utility, vent hood, disposal. So not only am I turning them off so that they aren't pulling electricity. I also don't want someone to use them, whenever we're in an off-grid mode.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Now, so one thing I want to have as a kind of a detail here. Let's say, for example, that for some reason your storm mode was not able to get that battery up to 90%, and you're below that 70% threshold. It will cut this off on everybody if you're
yep.
below that 75%. All right. So if they're like, well, why does it just not work? It's like, well, the battery must be at 75%. That's
And then we can have the conversation on, does it really make sense to run the dishwasher right now, or can we, do hand dishes?
right. Exactly. Exactly.
And let's see, there was one other one. It was uh, the 2S, this guy. Okay.
And
So,
that's the spare room.
yep.
Yep. All right.
All right. So I
All right.
think that's it.
So 21 to 31 matches up your notes.
Let's see. 1, 2, 6, 7, 11. It looks like I should have 14 that are off. And that's showing 10 off. Maybe I missed the front porch. Let me go back and edit. The nice thing is it seems pretty straightforward to be able to edit.
It does.
Edit. Next. Front porch, there it is. Yeah, I think that is pretty much it.
So that's 11 of them off.
Yeah, I think that's all of them. Oh yeah, by the way, I didn't uncheck pool. I was counting them as how many spaces they take up, like how many spaces the
Oh, the
mod.
breaker panel.
The
Got it.
pool was 3. Um,
Yep. Nope. That makes sense. Okay. So now we have our second stage.
yeah.
Now I would say that we also want to do a full-on whole house, because if you are overproducing, the battery's at 100%, you have more than enough power, you want people to have free reign of the house without any type of limitations. So let's go ahead and do a whole house, whatever you want to call it. Let's add another one. All right. So this is, yep, off grid. All right. Whatever you want to call a whole house, that'll be fine. All right. I would not do a turn
down.
Nope. I would not do grid down. You can't, because that will be. So remember, those are triggers. So
Okay,
so
yeah,
glad you did
right.
that. No, this is good. Let's talk about it real quick while you're doing that. So grid down means when the grid goes down, this is the profile that's chosen. We don't want that. We want you to manually turn on all on. We want you to be able to do an assessment. You're saying, hey, look, I don't see any clouds outside. We don't have to have any restrictions right now. We're just basically wasting power. You see, and I know this is a sore spot for you before you have PTO, but I'm seeing my Tygo optimizers throttle back. It's driving me freaking crazy. So no, this house is going to be fully powered, baby. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
This is your all on. So what icon? So to you, that's the house. All right. Yep. Let's go ahead and be real easy with it. Let's save it. There we go. Now I would also do an essentials. So let's say you get down to 40%, 20%. At a minimum, we want to do one of those.
Yep. Yeah. So like in my breakdown of 16, like I'll just like briefly do a high level overview of how I went through the exercise. Like I was like, okay, pool off, utility plugs off, and then things like vent hood disposal, outside plugs that I really don't care about, dishwasher, then game room, theater room, spare bedroom, and then I was like, okay, upstairs, AC and furnace. Let's get that turned off. And then it was like, okay, well, I know the dryer pulls a lot, so let's get the dryer turned off. And since we're turning the dryer off, why not turn the washer off? I know it doesn't pull as much, but that was kind of the idea. And then from there, the next stage is, okay, let's make sure the ovens aren't aren't going to be running because those can pull a lot if they get turned on. And then
Correct.
from there, I start thinking of like, okay, we're going to start doing dining plugs, like the dining room and kitchen plugs that, aren't used too often, but maybe used whenever we're in an off-grid situation. And then I start, just going down from there, like, oh, there's one more room upstairs. Let's, kill that and say, okay, everyone come downstairs. And then the common areas still have power. And then the last things that I have are like the living room, or the second to last things are like the living room and the master bedroom stuff. And then the final ones are the fridges.
Of
And
course. Yeah. And
I
the
have
microwave.
those in two stages because we have a fridge and deep freezer in the garage, and then a fridge freezer in the kitchen. So I had those
Right.
two different stages where we want the indoor one being the very last thing that has to get turned off.
Okay. Now, and to be clear, we do have a generator integration here. So technically, we don't have to do this, but we're doing it just in case for some reason a generator's not working right. We're doing it to conserve gas. We're making it so the generator isn't on for 24 hours. Like there are a lot of factors that say, all right, generator is available if I want to go all out in the house. People need to be comfortable, but I have this ability, this capability of managing this remotely and manage this automatically. So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah,
All right.
and the good thing in addition is you can put how much you want it to charge the batteries back up on the generator. And so you can say like, oh, I know I have a 30% scene that should kick in and should, power most things. And so like, okay, let's get up to 30% charge and then we'll be in an even more comfortable state. And so
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's go ahead and you want to call this essentials? Like, can we build a profile that's going to be good for 40%? Like, what is that tolerance for your battery? I agree. The HVAC upstairs should probably go down. I agree. Really, the entire bottom floor of the house should be, I would say, fully operational. But all the 240s, except for the HVAC downstairs, probably should be off. Would you agree with that?
yep.
Okay. So, what energy scene are we looking at there? What do you want to call this one?
Mhm.
I agree. Main floor essentials. Yep.
Yeah. Um, or main floor min is like
Yep.
the minimum for the main floor.
Sounds great. Okay. So, what percentage do we want that to automatically come on?
Uh, you're asking what percentage?
Correct. So imagine in the middle of the night, your battery, because the HVAC upstairs has been working really hard. You got other things working really hard. You actually get down to a threshold where, all right, at this point, I want to make sure I have enough battery to last me as long as I need. So where is that threshold for you?
I would think 30%, or actually maybe 20%
I would
is
agree with that. I think 20% is
probably good.
probably more
Yeah.
in line with it, because the good thing about what you're doing here and how you're doing it with the multiple triggers is we already know your energy profile is going to shift once you go to the 75% one. So your consumption is going to go down significantly, which is going to slow it down. And this says, all right, even with the slowing down, I'm still going down faster than I should be. So I'm going to be at 20% just in case. But no, I think that's probably a good number. But the good thing is we can make any adjustments that we need to. That's why we're doing the off-grid test.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. Um, what is this an icon on? It kind of looks like a cone with a battery.
I don't know.
Um,
Go down all the way to the bottom real quick.
that's the bottom.
I mean, there's a little calendar watch thing there.
Yeah, kind of like a countdown. Like, how about this? Let's use. I mean, it kind of looks like an
An inverter to me.
inverter.
Yeah.
So I'll use the calendar.
Yeah. You can change anytime you want. That's a good thing. I know you'll look at this probably later. Now that you've seen how this. All right. So we got main floor main. The condition is 20%. When it goes below 20%, it will activate. When you go back above 20%, it will go to the profile that's between 20 and 75. If you go beyond 75, it's going to go to the profile up to 90.
Nice. So that's a downstairs, downstairs. Um, here. Let's have furnace on. Bathroom 1W, kitchen dining plugs, garage plugs. HVAC 1, master bath lights, microwave, master bed lights, and the only question is, should ovens be on?
Would you use your oven at 20% battery?
No, I think that's probably in a, getting in a more extreme case. So I would say no.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So is there any other stage? You got a 75%, you got a 20%. Is there anything in between that you want to put in there?
There's a lot in between. But I think that's something that I will tinker with later. I'll add some more profiles in there. So it would be nice if, and I wonder if it does this. Does it say that's initial grid down? So what I'm wondering is, it would be great if it laid out like this is your 75% one, and then from 74 to 30, it's this, and then from 29 to 20, it's this,
It does, but it doesn't, right? And so if you look at main floor men, if you go back, you see it activates 20%.
Oh, okay, yep, yeah.
And so if you go up, you see the other one activates at 75%.
Yeah.
So it's there. It just doesn't have your range that you wanted, but it does tell you, all right, hey, this one reaches at 75%. It's going to be there. Now, the thing is, I do not believe that.
Hey, you can duplicate. Nice.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. Yeah. So I don't know if that 75% shows in the actual Pro app, which is where you'll be activating these. So that'll be something that we look at on Saturday night, because our plan right now is from here to go ahead and, I mean, if you want to go through the night, you can, but we're going to go ahead and go into storm watch, allow the battery to have a reserve so that you can basically, your outage is going to start on Saturday morning at 7 a.m.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. Because we can't interrupt the game.
Yeah, definitely not.
So, all right. So no, I'll allow you to, if you want to make any changes to this, I mean, you really have a good grasp on it. It tells you 19 to 31, tells you when these things are activated. I would say, I know you have 16 variations, but you also have complete control.
Yep.
And that, you're able to, if you needed to, in the app, to selectively cut these off. And so make it so it's manageable is all I'm saying.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And like, I love that it's not, oh, you get two scenes to put. Like, I, have 31 circuits that breaks down into 16 groupings, priority groupings. And so it'll be awesome to be able to have confidence that, like, oh, we're, without power and we've lost a little bit, like, let's, trim the fat, and then we're still good to go. And it's awesome because it'll take care of itself.
Right.
And so I love the ability that I can set up that granularity.
I love it. I love it. All right. So let's go ahead and go back arrow here.
Yep.
All right. And you know what to do. Sync required. Let's go down and do our sync. All right. And then after this is done syncing, let's go ahead and open up the Pro app. And you should see these new. Very excellent. Okay.
And now let me get the Pro app up.
Now, is Jess going to allow us to play with this tonight, or it's not a good idea?
Well, she's not home right now, so.
Oh, that's perfect. Let's play. I love it. Let's play. All right. And this computer is on all of the profiles, correct? Because it's in your office that's downstairs.
I don't think it's on. Uh, so that brings up a good question. I wonder, does the profile and the Pro app, do the scenes show what circuits are corresponding to which scene?
It does show which one's cut off. It
Okay.
does show you the ability to cut them on, but it doesn't let you look at and go, all right, when I activate this scene, this is what shuts off. It does not have that. That's in the power and light. But when you select it, or when it gets self-selected based off the automated process, it will give you a report that says, all right, these are the ones that were cut off. And that'll be under your reporting there. All right. So good. Power enabled to null. Okay. And then this was because we have the generator managing itself. So we're at 15. Are we at 15% right now with your battery?
Yeah. Yep.
The rainy day.
Yeah, rainy day.
Got it. So we're not gonna be able to do this test right now. I was hoping to be able to. But we may be able to do it tomorrow night if you like. But yeah, under the circuit control, it will tell you what loads right there, just like that. Now, this though is in a grid up scenario.
Okay.
So it's different with the grid down.
Gotcha.
All right. So just go do the back arrow real quick.
Okay. Back
All
it
right.
up.
Let's go all the way up. All right. Let's touch storm watch or eco mode. Yep. See the 4 energy scenes for the off grid?
Mm-hmm.
That's them right there.
Initial grid down, scene, all on, main floor men. Second.
Or actually, power available too. Go ahead and touch that down arrow. That tells you. I'm glad it does show it.
Nice, nice.
Yep, that's showing you what's on for each one of those profiles.
And it looks like it should. Yeah, here's the office. So at the 75% mark, it should be on.
Okay, and then I'm more worried about the 20%.
Yeah, so if we go look at the 20%. Yep, it's on.
Excellent. Okay. So, what I would do if you had reserving your battery would be, I would tell you go to off grid. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between these settings on the Savant real quick, so people know we have. So go to the modes. You're right now you're in scenes. Go to modes. All right. So you know what eco mode is. Give me a sec. But eco mode, for folks that don't know, that is for what we call a self-supply mode, where the system itself default, it will use the battery, when the sun doesn't produce for you. So whether that's during a cloudy day or at night when the sun is down, it's going to use that battery down to a certain percentage, which we've set at 15% with the Solar-Ark. So it's going to use that battery down to 15% and make it so that you're buying as little from the utility as possible. All right. Now, once you turn eco mode on, you get some really cool graphics, which I know Jeremy prefers, almost everybody prefers. But the thing is if you have eco mode activated inside of the Power and Light app, it's your default setting. You can't turn it off. I should say you can't turn it off indefinitely. All right. The second one is off grid. Now, this is a voluntary off grid. So you do have the ability, which we're not going to do for 3 days because it's not a true off grid. You have the ability to say, all right, I want to be like I'm off grid. I don't use any power at all. And all of those profiles that we have work inside of this setting. So if you just really want to be aggressive one week and say, you know what, I don't want to pay a daggone dime for my electric, you could do the off grid. It will base it off all the triggers that we have. But once you hit down to a certain percentage, which I think we have set at 15 or 20% in the Power and Light, once you hit that percentage, it will bring the grid back and say, all right, we're on grid now.
Okay.
All right. Then we have our storm watch, which, as I mentioned before, this is we know a storm's coming. I mean, storm watch, kind of self-explanatory there. But if we know the storm is coming, this will not use the eco mode for 72 hours. So any bit of sun that we get will go towards the reserve of the batteries. The batteries will not be used to offset your electrical costs, because the main priority is to make sure we have backup power in case something ends up happening. All right, and then the last one is power outages. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. I can't really see. Yep, the same scenes that we have for off-grid are available in the power outage, which is what we're going to be simulating, a grid down power outage. You would still have the ability to operate the same scenes. The difference being that when you're in the off-grid, you can turn the circuits back on, but you have to go through sometimes you have to go through the power light app in order to do it, because it's basically restricting you so that you don't end up in a situation where you accidentally turn everything on and deplete your battery too quickly. All right. You turn things off. It's turning things on that's more interesting. So that's why you like having that all, or like having one of those other things, like you said, if you want to do shaving, which is what we call between that 75 and 20%. If you want to shave a little bit on down to that 20%, you have the ability to do so.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to the back arrow. That's it. We're in eco mode. Right now, we're good. It said, there's no solar, obviously, and this is one thing that's interesting about the Savant app, which I might as well go over as well while we're here, because it is getting its information from the Solar-Ark inverter. Once you go below the threshold to where it's no longer using eco mode struggles to actually see these readings. And so the readings that you really want to look at are ones that are on the Solar-Ark application. That's the only time you end up with this, let's say inaccurate information. But yeah,
if you go into this view, it'll also show you, because
the actual
it's going through the actual modules, and so it will give you an accurate reading on a per breaker breakdown.
Absolutely. All right, sir. Well, listen, we're in a good spot. I think we're all set up for Saturday morning. I expect you probably to build, a couple other profiles now that you know how that all works. Let's go ahead and switch to Storm Watch for right now.
Yeah.
Because our storm is coming. There it is. Switch mode. Excellent.
So does it show? Okay.
Yep, and it's charging that battery up to 90% for you.
Yep.
That's another reason why I really like that mode. It's, if a storm's coming, you don't care about buying power. Hey, that's fine with me. I'll buy power overnight and we're good. Now, if you want, because it does do this, and I want to show it, if you want, you can wait till storm mode till tomorrow morning. So the sun is what charges that battery. I don't know what type of weather you're expecting tomorrow, though. Will you get up to 90%?
No way. It's cloudy. It's going to be cloudy and overcast again. The good thing is I have cheaper electricity from PM to 6 a.m. So
excellent.
It's 5 minutes till 8 here, and so it's pretty much perfect timing to turn on the storm watch.
I love it. All right. Well, we're done for tonight. Is there anything else that you wanted to share for at least this video? I know we're going to talk about your system, your build. Like, there's some really cool stuff that we did there that you don't see every day. But really deliver what you're looking for. We're going to go over some of those things over the coming days after Saturday. But is there anything else you want to add for this?
Other than I'm pretty damn excited to be able to build the profiles all the different scenes and get them set up so that I'll have a smooth transition. And then watching them go through those stages as we do the test will be really cool.
I totally agree with you. All right. So, Jeremy, really, really appreciate your time. Excited to do this test with you starting on Saturday. Of course, if you have any questions, please reach out. But guys, thank you for taking a look at what we put together. I hope this answers some questions on the difference between the grid profiles and the system, normal operation profiles for you. All right. Have a good night.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Fred.
All right.